Hello fellow readers, my name is Mona Lisa. Welcome to my channel Mona Lisa Reads, and today I'm doing a very special book review and I'm very excited about it, so let's get right to it. So today I have a very special book review. Many of you, if you've seen my channel before, have heard me talk about Chas over at Bookish Chas. He is one of my best friends. I met him in college 25 years ago, and so we've always kept in touch, but the last few years we've just become a lot closer, especially through our discussion of books and booktube and the whole book world, and it's been a lot of fun. He's just a really great guy. Great guest if he ever comes and stays at your place. Easily the easiest, most laid back house guest we've ever had in our home. It was just a pleasure having him here, and looking forward to having him back again. And he's just a really great friend. I've really loved having him in my life. So he wrote a book, and I'm going to review that book. He wrote The Nomad's Crucible. And I don't have my physical copy yet. He's going to give me a signed copy of it when I go to Arizona fairly shortly here, and so I'm excited to get the physical copy in my hand. This is not the first book that he has written. He's also written... Oh, here, I should be more in the center. He's also written this book, Talendor's Guest. If you watch his channel, you've heard him talk about it, and I'm not saying this in a negative way. It's just I didn't know what to expect from this first novel. Even though I've read Talendor's Guest, I wasn't sure what to expect from Nomad's Crucible, because Talendor's Guest is a bunch of short stories as an overarching story with the short stories within it. And so I've read his short stories, but I haven't read a full-length novel by him. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect, because I've learned since reading Talendor's Guest that I don't tend to like short stories. There's very few of them that I end up liking in the end, because I'm always left wanting. I always feel something's lacking. Like I feel like the short story should have been longer. It should have had more detail in it, more character development, especially if there's characters that, like with Hercule Poirot or with Agatha Christie's Tommy and Tuppence, you get to know them through a series of books. So then if you have one book in there that's a bunch of short stories like Tommy and Tuppence has, and I know there's at least one with Hercule Poirot, you already know the characters. You already know what they're like, you know their personalities, you know the way they think. And so it helps make my enjoyment for those characters easier, because I kind of know what to expect from them. With other short stories, you don't get a lot of the character development. You don't get a lot of the world building. You just kind of get the story and the plot and beginning, middle, end, and done. And I just want more, typically. And I know with Talendor's Guest, there were several stories, and it's been a while since I've read it, but there were many stories in it that left me wanting more. I wanted more of that world. I wanted more of the story. I wanted more of the character, or a combination of those things. And it was quite frustrating. And it's not just with his book, it's with any short story. I'm just like, just make it a full novel. So like I said, I wasn't quite sure what to expect with The Nomad's Crucible. So let's go away with that. And I'll kind of scoot back here. So let me just, I've tried making this video before, and I got really frustrated because I was trying to share the plot. I was trying to share what the book was about, and I just felt like I was going to start giving away too much. So I'm going to make it really easy on myself, make it easy for you if you have not read the book to know what it's about without having any spoilers. So I'm going to read the blurb on the back of the book. Baston Tread, infamously known as the Nomad, is the most sought after and feared assassin on the desolate planet Sadia. His precision and arcane powers know no equal, and his blades strike fear into all who encounter him. The Nomad never leaves a mark alive. Recruited by a powerful group known as the Regents, Tread sets out to kill the king of the ancient and powerful Vildari. Inevitably, he finds himself embroiled in a turf war between the two factions as they vie for control of the planet's resources. As tensions rise, Tread discovers that a powerful sorcerer, controlled by dark forces, is playing the two factions against each other. This sorcerer quickly becomes an enemy intent on undoing the very fabric of power and seizing the remains for himself. In a world where all the players have secrets, Treads are only beginning to surface. Plagued by visions and dreams of an unknown past, everything the Nomad knows about his vocation, his power, and most importantly, himself, is about to be challenged. It is a crucible that will alter the very fabric of who he is. That's the basic plot of the book. Two ruling powers vying for ultimate control, Tread caught in the middle, and then in the midst of all that, you've got this evil power that comes to light and causes, chaos and destruction and death and all the things. So it was, I think, a very well thought out plot. It's very clear to see the progression in the story. So that's the basic plot of the story. Now, characters, you have Tread. He's the Nomad. Nomad basically means don't have a place to stay. He doesn't. He just goes from one job to the next. He doesn't have a home that he lays his head down in. He's the Nomad. Then you have the Regents, and they are one of the classes of people vying for power over the planet, and there's specific characters talked within the Regents and those who serve the Regents, but overall I would say the Regents, I felt like with the Regents, those characters that were ruling and talked about, I don't feel there was as much character development as there was for the other ruling power, which was Certain, and he was over the Veldari. I felt like you got much more of his story and what was going on with him than you did with the Regents. So, and there were leaders of the Regents and people who served the Regents that were specifically talked about, but I just felt like overall, just saying that's one of the ruling powers. Certain was definitely talked about, and I think he was fleshed out a lot more than the Regents. His family's talked about, him interacting with the people that he rules over, about the people who have served him a long time and have these relationships with. He has a wife and a daughter. He was just very much more fleshed out for me than the Regents. Seems like a combination of like a Papa Smurf because he's really smart, and a Santa Claus because he has magical powers, and I just imagine this white beard, and I don't know. That's the vision I have in my head. I doubt that's what Chas has in his head, but it's what I got in my head. I really liked Certain. He tried to be a fair ruler who was open and honest with his people. He had also trying to figure out mysteries of a couple of different things in the midst of the craziness that is happening. And yeah, he had a tall order on his shoulders. He definitely had it rough. Okay, who else do I want to talk about? Tana. Tana is Certain's daughter, and she's not a character that's fully fleshed out, but she plays an important role in the book, so I thought I'd mention her. It was kind of funny because her description kind of makes me think of my daughter and just like the playful, whimsical, life-loving, curious child that Tana is. Reminds me of my daughter, and so I enjoyed reading about her. But it was also very interesting to see how she becomes a pivotal character within this book. Like I said, her character is not really fleshed out a ton like Certain or Tread, but she is an important character within the book. Okay, so Gitas is the bad dude. He wants to rule everything, and if you don't follow him and be willing to go under his control, he's going to absolutely annihilate you. That's his basic thing. Some of his history's given, and so things didn't quite go his way, and so he got really upset and pouted and brooded over it for years and years, and so he decides to do this, become this evil sorcerer, and I think therapy could have helped him, but he decided not to go that route and went the completely off the rails bad guy. So that's your bad guy in the story. His name is Gitas. Setting. Okay. One thing I forgot to say when I was talking about characters is tread. I had a very specific character in mind when I read this. Like, the visual of what he looked like was very specific in my head, and it was this character, Cade Bane. So I Marco Polo'd Chas, and I was like, I'm picturing Cade Bane in my brain when I'm reading about Tread. And it was actually, that's who I kind of pictured in my brain when I was writing the character of Tread. I'm like, oh, cool. So my only problem is I don't know what to do with the face. Because I don't, there was no real description of physical characteristics in that aspect. So I'm like, I keep doing the mask over his face, but I know that's not like, I doubt that's what you want him to look like. He's no. And he said he was more like a Polynesian Asian look to his face. So I'm still trying to, like, when I was reading, I was still trying to picture that. I still don't quite have it formulated in my head, but I'm working on it. So, but the setting, okay, this was another, and the reason I brought up Tread is because I went to him and I was talking to the planet is basically dying. It's not raining like it used to. The plants are suffering. There's not as much foliage and greenery as they're used to, so it's a dying planet. A lot of it is desert, and it totally made me think of Tatooine. Totally thought about it. And then there was a few times that he, Tread goes into a bar, and I totally thought of this. The bar scene on Tatooine. Now, there aren't any characters like you see in the bar scenes in the book. They're just basically humanoid. There's no aliens in this. And so I always pictured human beings, but the bar setting always looks similar to this bar scene. So, he kind of had a lot of influence from that, from Star Wars. So, but then, so you have the desert world, but then also you have Veldari and that world, and to me that came off as more Roman. And so I was talking to him about this, because even some of the clothing hinted kind of towards it, and he goes, yeah, well, it is supposed to be kind of Romanesque. That's where I got it. I'm like, oh. So my thinking of, like, in my brain what these places look like were very similar to what I was thinking of, like, Roman, Star Wars. I don't know if the bar scene from Star Wars was his inspiration for, like, the book bars, the bars in the book, but that was just the mental picture I got, like very dark and not so good characters in it possibly and stuff. It just, but it's also like a industrial type look to a lot of this stuff. Oh, and the vehicle that Tread drives reminded me of this. Like, it went on, and so it was a lot of fun to kind of see those elements in there. Okay. Writing style. Very easy to read. Not super complicated. It's not a high fantasy book. It's fantasy, but it's not high fantasy. As with most typical fantasy books, there's new words that have been created and new terms for things. So the nice thing is that there is a glossary in the book. It is in the back. If you're doing Kindle like I did to read it, you just hit and go to the glossary in the back, and then you can flip right back to where you were. Obviously, with the book, you just flip to the page and go back to where you were. So it's nothing highly complicated, but, when you want to know what that specific thing is that he's referring to, you have the glossary just, for reference. Because sometimes people don't realize there's a glossary until after they've read, like, oh, that would have been nice to know that was there, so now you know. It was a very simple, it was an easy to read writing style. There was nothing where I felt confused about or didn't understand, except for, like, the mystery of, like, the things in the book, like, you're trying to figure it out. But it wasn't, like, confusing on the end of, like, I have no idea what's going on. It's very easy to follow. And then the pacing was good. It starts off right with what... It's not an action scene. It's like what would have been the end of an action scene, but it gives you information to go, like, what is going on? Like, that's not... Obviously, that's not normal. And the pacing, it starts out with the beginning of the world building and getting to know Tread and those characters and being introduced into his life as an assassin, and then it kind of goes from there. And then you have this evil that's coming up and these things that nobody knows where they came from, how it happens, why it's happening, and it just makes you want to continue forward. And as you keep going, more things become known, and more things become more of a mystery, and you're just kind of wanting to move forward. And it's a very easy, sustainable pace within the book. And as usual with most books, there's a big climax at the end, and that got moving a lot more quickly. And things didn't happen so fast because there was a lot of good description of things happening at the end. There's a big battle, and just the sensation of what was happening, it was really well paced out. And then the ending, you kind of have the climax and it ends. Like you're given the battle and it just ends. But there's more stuff that happens afterwards. And that was nice to see, kind of the conclusion of how everything kind of came together and what's going to happen after the battle. So, okay. Ending of the book. So I liked it because there was a little bit of teasing of stuff at the end. I'm not going to get more into it. There's an epilogue that, let's just say Fina from Fina Reads and I agree. We want more. We feel like some questions have to be answered. We're demanding that we get a book. I don't know if she's demanding. I'm basically demanding that we get a book more about Tread and his past, and kind of flesh that out more. Because there's definitely some questions left there. And then there's an epilogue. Fee and I both want another book to explain this. We definitely feel like there's things that were left unanswered, and now we're upset because there is no more book and we are not going to have these questions answered. I will say that I believe, if I remember correctly from my conversation with him, with Chas, that the epilogue kind of is leading to what the next book will be, I think, but don't quote me on that. Chas, I know you're going to watch this, so kind of answer if that's correct or not in the comments below, because I think you were saying that's kind of where the epilogue was leading, was to the next book, but I don't know if it's just answering the comments. And then if you want to know the answer, go look for his comment. I'll probably tag that one to the top, just to make it easier. But the ending was I was quite frustrated. I Marco Polo'd him and told him I was quite frustrated and I wanted more right now, and frustrated that I was not going to get more right now. So there's definitely, I see more books that could come out from this ending, although he says that he's not planning on writing a duology, a trilogy, or a series or anything like that. It's just the books that he's going to write, he always plans on doing standalones at the moment, but these books will be interconnected and part of his overall multiverse. So I'm just going to be on him to write more, so that I don't have to sit here and be frustrated that I don't have more information about this. It was a good ending, but it's also frustrating because there was a lot of stuff that I felt like I wanted to know more about, and I don't have it. So good ending, just wanted more. Okay, so overall enjoyment. And I'm not just saying this because he's my friend. Yes, he's my friend, but I'm also very honest with him. You can ask him, like, we have discussions and we disagree about quite a few things, but we still remain friends at the end of the day. And if I think it sucked, I would tell you I thought it sucked, but I don't think it sucked. I thought it was really good. And the very cool thing about this is this is his very first novel, and so from here on out he can only improve, right? His writing style is going to become more refined. He's going to continue to flesh out characters and the worlds of his multiverse more, as he continues the process of writing more books. And so I'm excited about that. I'm eager to see what he comes out with the next book. I don't exactly know what it is. I think, like I said, it has something to do with the epilogue. But like if there's more to it, I don't know what it is. So that's intriguing to me. And I don't think it's going to take 8 years for him to finish this book like it did for the Nomad's Crucible. I think he's just had a fire ignited in him to continue writing. And he learned a lot through this process of writing the book and publishing and the cover art and all that kind of stuff and the formatting. And I think tools were available to him for things like that that were not available to him 8 years ago or 5 years ago when he was working on this book. So I think, and I'm also going to be on his butt about finishing it because I want more. So, and I'm sure Fina will, and others who are his friends and are fans of the book are going to want more. So, I think, I don't think we'll be waiting 8 years for his next book, which I'm very happy about. So, but would I suggest this book? I absolutely would suggest this book, and I'm not just saying it because he's my friend. It is a good book. It's enjoyable. And if you like Star Wars or Rome, there you go. You got it all on a foreign planet with some evil dude. That's crazy. He just needed some therapy and didn't get it. So, and then you got, the Nomad, who just goes and does his job. He's Switzerland. He doesn't care which side he works for. He'll work for both. So, anyways, go pick up the Nomad's Crucible. The link will be in the description below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below. I'm planning on doing a live sometime after the new year with Charles, to discuss his book and future plans and all that kind of stuff. So if you've read the book and have questions, or if you haven't read the book and you have questions or anything like that, put them in the description, in the comments below, and I will compile all those together and I will go over those when I do my live. I will in the community tab and probably do a short video to discuss when that's going to happen and remind people to leave me questions. So there you go. Okay, people, I think that's it. This was stressful. This was very stressful for me. I wanted people to know that I enjoyed the book, that it was a good book, and I don't want anybody to think it's a bad book, because it's not a bad book, and I want to do my friend justice and, just let him know. I mean, he knows I enjoy the book. We've talked about it and talked about that ending and wanting more. So he knows that I did good, but he also knows that I don't want this video to put a bad reflection on him, or I don't know why it would be on him, but on the book or anything like that. So this was stressful. I feel like I haven't done a lot of book reviews, but yeah, it was stressful because it's for my friend's book, and I want you to know it was good and you should go read it. So yeah, I'm going to stop babbling now. Baby girl will wake up soon, so I got to stop talking right now. So anyways, thank you for your time. I'm so glad you came by. I look forward to seeing you again. I think my next video is going to be a tag or something easy-ish. Yeah, so until next time, my friends, go read a good book.